Now hold on just a minute, y'all. I done seen some wild things in the National Football League. Wideouts punching teammates, quarterbacks leaving text messages on read, and coaches calling plays like they on Madden. But what the Las Vegas Raiders just did with Christian Wilkins, that right there, that's a whole new level of eyebrow-raising foolishness. Let me tell you something, Club Shay Shay style. When you sign a man to a 5-year, $110 million deal, you're telling the world, here, guy, you're telling the locker room, this is our anchor on the defensive line. You're telling the fan base, trust the vision. And yet, less than 1 year later, the Raiders did 180 like a cornerback biting on a double move. Wilkins got the boot. Just like that. No parade, no thank you, not even a vague parting of ways tweet with a sad face emoji. Nah, this was surgical, cold, calculated, and backed with one of the most bizarre team statements I've read in my 30 years around this league. Let's talk about the money, the injury, the lawsuit, the internal beef, and what it means for the Raiders, Wilkins, and the real commitment to excellence. Let's rewind the clock. March 2024. The Raiders made a splash in free agency, snatching up Christian Wilkins from Miami. 5 years, $110 million. That's $84 million in guarantees at the time, with 35 points and $20 million still on the books entering this season. You don't spend that kind of money on a rotational piece. Wilkins was brought in to be the centerpiece, coming off a season in Miami where he logged 9 sacks as an interior lineman. This was a proven disruptor, run game wrecker, locker room voice. Locker room voice. That Clemson pedigree. Big smile, big motor, bigger heart. So what changed? Well, 5 games into his Raiders career, Wilkins suffered a Jones fracture in his left foot. Rehab can go left quick, especially when the team and the player don't see eye to eye on what that recovery should look like. And baby, that's exactly what happened here. Now listen. Shout out to Deanna Rossini at The Athletic for spilling the tea, because she said this thing had been simmering for months. From what sources say, Wilkins wanted to follow a recovery protocol led by his own independent medical staff. Raiders brass, they weren't having it. They wanted him in the facility with their guys following their timeline. Let me break it down in real talk. Wilkins believed the Raiders were rushing him. The Raiders believed Wilkins was stalling. Neither side trusted the other. Now, when that kind of mistrust creeps into a $100 million relationship, it's just like any bad breakup. Resentment builds, communication shuts down, and folks start looking for the exit door. And it gets deeper. Per league insiders, Wilkins' camp was never told clearly that the team planned to void guarantees if they disagreed with his rehab. But the team's front office believes the contract language gave them the green light, citing failure to make satisfactory progress or follow team medical guidelines. So what did they do? They pulled the plug. And that wasn't just cutting him. That was voiding $35 million guaranteed money. That's like ordering steak and then sending the check back to the chef and saying, "Nah, I ain't paying for that." Wilkins ain't taking that lightly. Filed a grievance with the NFL. And I'll tell you this, the league better buckle up, because there's going to be one ugly arbitration. Now, let's talk about that statement. We have decided that it is in the best interests of the organization to move on from Christian Wilkins, with no clear path or plan for future return to play. This transaction is necessary. Woo! That's not your standard "we wish him well" boilerplate. That's an NFL version of "he ain't committed. We moving on, let's be clear." Statements like this are strategic. That wasn't emotion. That was lawyering. That was lawyering. They knew Wilkins was going to challenge the voided guarantees, so they laid the groundwork for their side of the story. Translation: he was unavailable. He didn't meet our rehab expectations. We have legal justification to cut ties and cut checks. But even if they write from a contract perspective, does this make sense for the locker room? Does this help Max Crosby in that defensive line? Do you really want to go into the AFC West with Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert throwing darts without your best run stopper? Now let's shift to the real ones. The players inside that building. How do they see it? If you a vet like Devontae Adams or Colton Miller, this move might make you side-eye the front office. Wilkins was supposed to be a core piece. Now he's gone over a rehab dispute. This ain't just about one man's foot. It's about trust, and that's what I'm worried about in Vegas. When the franchise slogan is commitment to excellence, but you lose one of your top guys without a unified message, that don't build morale. It tears it down. Make no mistake. Every guy in that locker room's watching how this plays out with the NLLPA. Because if it can happen to Wilkins, it can happen to Wilkins. It can happen to them too. He's too talented, too disruptive, and too charismatic to stay off the field long. Once this grievance is resolved, and I do believe he'll get some of that money back, Wilkins will get another shot. Could it be with a contender, Philadelphia? Philadelphia, they love depth on the D-line. Chicago, they've got cap room and a young defense. Cincinnati, pairing him with Trey Hendrickson would be nasty. Wherever he lands, best believe Wilkins is going to play with a chip the size of a Super Bowl ring on his shoulder. Now back to Vegas. You just sent a message. We'll cut ties fast if we think you're not locked in. That can be good. It can weed out the uncommitted, but it can also scare off free agents who value stability and medical autonomy. You better hit on the replacement, because if that D-line can't stop the run or pressure the quarterback this season, every media mic, every fan tweet, and every Monday morning quarterback is going to say, I'll cut Wilkins for this. Let me end with this Christian Wilkins situation, and just a football story. It's a business story, a trust story, a locker room story. And most of all, it's a cautionary tale about what happens when communication breaks down between player and franchise. You don't just lose a man, you lose a message. And sometimes you lose the locker room. The Raiders got talent. They got energy. They got Max Crosby, Aiden O'Connell, and a fan base that's dying to believe again. But if they keep making moves like this, if the commitment to excellence turns into commitment to excellence, turns into commitment to ejection, well then, baby, all I got left to say is, good luck in the AFC West. You're gonna need it.